Hello everyone and welcome back. For those just joining us, hi there, my name is Reverie, and I'm a concept artist mainly specializing in character design and storytelling. For those just joining in, I've been helping design the monsters for my brother's survival horror game. Though I will be recapping a bit from the first episode, I'd still recommend you go back and watch that one before this so you don't feel lost, especially when we get to the lore. In the first video, I showed you all our first monster, who is a companion for the player and will help you throughout the game. However, for all the other monsters we're going to discuss, they aren't as friendly, including today's monster. By the way, none of these monsters have names yet, so if you have any idea of what these guys should be called, please tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. The idea for the second monster was for it to have a giant tongue that it would launch towards you and try to drag you into its giant mouth in its stomach. We eventually came to this decision to get rid of the tongue and just focus on the mouth, and though it may still come out for the moveset, it just won't be part of the design. The first time you meet the monster would be in a boss battle in a small bunker, where you can easily defeat it with your gun until the roof starts to cave in and your ally monster flies down to drag you out. The monster tries to follow you, so your ally throws your gun into the monster's mouth to try and slow it down. After that, it would become a common enemy which you could defeat after unlocking some of the weapons by throwing a bomb into its mouth to stun it, then finish off with your knife. You might also use it for puzzles to open up pathways by dodging its attacks last second, so it hits a button or a pillar behind you instead. For the first concept, I really wanted to try and capture that bulky first boss battle kind of feeling you get from a lot of video games. For the second concept, I ended up taking an idea I had from my last video, where there was this mouth on the back that would clamp down on the player like a bear trap. I tried to give the design this almost pained look, as if the mouth on its back was hurting it in some way. The last concept, I made the monster incredibly skinny to imply it was so hungry it'd start to eat itself. That would turn out to be a good idea, because my brother eventually decided that design 3 was the closest to his original idea and told me to use that as a template for the batch of next concept art, which I of course got started on right away. Designs 1 and 3 wouldn't change that much from the original concept, and I mainly just changed the mouths around. But the second design, I remembered that the little things on zippers are called teeth, and mixing that with the stomach mouth inspired a more artificial doll-like design. I also tried to experiment with the idea of giving it more mouths by adding 2 heads to its arms that it could put together to create another mouth. I also indulged my dragon love a bit with that, because I mean, come on, it's dragons. Unfortunately for my poor dragon lover self, I don't think it ended up fitting for this design. With design 4, I tried to take that pained expression from the second original concept and change the silhouette drastically to really emphasize that idea of the monster's hunger literally consuming it. However, I think this design almost looked a little too weak, and I'm not sure how well it would serve as a boss battle. For design 5, I don't really have much to say. It was just another idea of changing the mouths and face around. The only thing I really have to mention is the mischievous expression on this face that I gave it, which I would end up keeping for the final design. Finally, for design 6, I did actually try to bring the tongue back, but in a different way by making it its arms. I also tried to keep the idea of multiple heads, which had been very hard for me to draw at this point, by making them a bit more subtle, as almost shoulder pads. I was also thinking about how moose antlers kind of look like a huge jaw, which inspired a more moose deer based design. After I finished the second batch of concept art, I brought it to my brother, who said he wanted a design with the body of 1, the head of 3, and the antlers of 6. With that out of the way, here's the final design and its lore.
Entry 2. Hunger. After After acquainting myself with my new ally and patch myself up, I set out to continue my investigations of the forest and reunite with my firearm. After looking around these disgusting, confusing woods, I eventually came across an old abandoned bunker. My guess is that it used to be used for storage, but either way that means the old building where the accident happened probably isn't too far off. The bunker door was already opened and I looked down to see that my gun had landed in the center of the room. My new companion tried to stop me from going in, but I quickly shoved it off and climbed down. Unfortunately, I was not alone. A tall, pale, humanoid figure with large antlers, or perhaps that was just another mouth, attacked me after spotting me in its territory. I tried to fight it off, but ultimately the smaller monster flew down and dragged me out through a hidden tunnel before it caved in. And I lost my gun with it. Great. Hopefully at least I can find another weapon around here later.
And that's the final design for now. What do you think? What do you like? And what things do you think could be improved upon in the future? And once again, do you have any ideas for possible names for this monster or the one from last video? If you liked this video and would be interested in seeing more of my content, please consider subscribing to my channel and following me on my other social media. I'm still fairly new to this, so anything you do would help a lot. With that out of the way, goodbye, and I hope to see you again next video.